Hello friends, now we are going to discuss the topic that is class. What is class? Class is a blueprint of an object, or we can say a class is an abstract data. Class. Class is nothing but a blueprint of an object. When you say a blueprint, that means whatever the data or the functions are contained inside the object has to be basically defined in the class. Likewise, you can see it. A class is a user-defined data type. Plus, class is a logical abstraction. It is a template that defines the formation of an object. When you say a class is a collection of data and functions which are going to be used for the object. Like a class will specify both code and data. It is not until an object of that class has been created that a physical representation of that data exists in the memory. When you define a class, you have to define the data and the code which is related to that object. Yes, when you define a class, you declare the data that it contains and the code that operates on that data. Data is contained in instance variable which is defined by the class known as data, and code is contained in the function which is known as a member function. That means a class is a collection of data members and member functions. Without that, we cannot say that class is a formation of structure. Next, the code and data that consist a class are called as the members of a class. That means whatever the data, whatever the code you are writing inside the class, those are the members of a class. So guys, can you say that with the help of class we are inheriting the feature which is encapsulation? That means we are performing the encapsulation with the help of data and member functions. Now we'll see the structure of a class. The basic structure of a class is class as a keyword, then the class name. Inside the curly brackets, we are specifying the access specifier. When we say access specifier provides you the accessibility of that particular code. Then you have to provide the data member and member functions. Plus, you can write number of access specifiers, and with the help of that access specifier, you can provide data and the functions. At the end, you have to close your bracket. You have to provide the object list and the semicolon, which is compulsory. Without the semicolon, you cannot say that the class is closed. Fine. So for the syntax of the class is class, the class name, inside the bracket, access specifier, colon, data and function, bracket close, object list with a semicolon. Now we see the example. At the end, when you say the object list means what? Means object list is optional. If it present, you can declare at the time of object of the class. But what does access specifier mean? Access specifiers are 3 present in the C++. First is public, private and protected. When you say the data is public, when you say a data is public, that means those data members and the member functions are accessible inside the class as well as the outside the class. That means the data which you are writing inside the class are globally available for the accessibility. Next is private. When you declare your data or the member function as a private, that means that data and that member functions are accessible inside the class only. No outside class member can access that data. Next, protected. When you say the data or the member functions are protected, that time, that data and that functions can be accessible inside that class, as well as the subclass. That means the whichever class is deriving the features of that class, those member of that class can be accessed the protected data members. We'll see this protected keyword in detail at the time of inheritance. Next is the structure of class or example of a class. When we say example, we'll see in a detail. First, the hash include iostream.h, and second, hash include conio.h, which two header files are required for compulsory execution of any C++ program. Next, the keyword of a class. Then I'm specifying my class name as my class. Then inside the bracket, I'm declaring one of the data member as int a. By default, if I'm not specifying any access specifier, then the default access specifier is private. That means if you are not specifying any access specifier before the data or the member function, that means that data or that member functions will get declared as a private. Next, inside the class definition, I am saying the data member is public. That means after writing the public, whatever the data members or the data I am specifying, those will be publicly accessible. Then I am saying void set a int num. So I am writing void set a int num. So I am creating one function which is void set a. The name of that function is set a, and inside that set a I am creating one parameter as int num. Then I am creating second member function which is int get a. So first we specified set a, second we specified get a. So set a is used for the specifying the value of a, and get a is specifying for the value of a. Now after done with the specification, we are closing the class with the semicolon, which is must to end your class. Thank you.